Creativity and community are absolutely vital in challenging times, especially in the age of AI. Welcome to Syncreate, a show where we explore the intersections between creativity, psychology, and spirituality. We believe everyone has the capacity to create. Our goal is to demystify the process and expand the boundaries of what it means to be creative. We talk with visionaries and change makers and everyday creatives working in a wide range of fields and media, from the arts to science, technology, and business. We aim to illuminate the creative process from imagination to innovation and everything in between. I'm Melinda Rothaus, and I help individuals and organizations bring their dreams and visions to life. At Syncreate, we're here to support your creative endeavors. So if you have an idea for a project or a new venture, but you're not quite sure how to get it off the ground, find us at syncreate.org. Our book, also called Syncreate, walks you through the stages of the creative process so you can take action on your goals. And the book is available in both print and audiobook format. We also offer resources, creative process tools, and coaching to help you bring your work to the world. My guest today is Keila Shaheen. She's a Brazilian Puerto Rican American scholar, international bestselling author, and musician. She is the creator of the Zenfulnote app and the author of the Shadow Work Journal, which has sold over 1 million copies and helped introduce shadow work to a new generation. Now pioneering the practice of light work, Keila's mission is to guide others toward inner transformation and creative awakening. Keila integrates depth psychology and the arts to help people reconnect with their inner world. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, Good Morning America, The Today Show, CBS News, and The Atlantic. We'll also be talking about her forthcoming book, The Lightwork Journal. So, Keila, it's wonderful to have you on the show today here in Austin in person, which is such a treat.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to have this beautiful conversation. We always go off into, these lyrical tangents in our conversations, so it'll be nice to have a place and time for that here.
For sure. And I just want to say, kind of off the bat, congratulations on everything that you've achieved. I'm really struck by how you've shared what was your own journaling practice initially, and kind of bringing it to the wider world. And I think your success with that is a testament to the power of creativity.
Yeah.
And to the resonance of this work. So I'm kind of curious, when you first wrote the Shadow Work Journal and published it, were you surprised by how much it resonated with people?
I was really surprised, but it did take time. So I had published the Shadow Work Journal, and it was like my side mission after work. I'd, share posts online and talk about it with my own online community. But it hadn't bled into my personal life yet and, created that huge impact that it had when it did. But, once people started sharing their own journal prompts and responses and talking about their experience engaging with these questions and with this kind of inner work, that's when it snowballed. And I was surprised, but I was also really delighted to see so many people opening up to going within, which is extremely important. And I think at the time, coming out of COVID as well, people were yearning to reconnect with not only themselves, but each other. So it also gave a thread for others to follow and see that vulnerability is possible and it enhances connection. So I think the core impacts was like sparking this movement of vulnerability. And it's like, yes, I can show up. as a human, and I can talk about what's weighing me, and I can overcome it. I think just having that space to put what's weighing you onto the lightness of paper,
Mhm.
that's already such a relief. And then just, when someone sees that, it inspires them to do the same. So it was exciting because I knew how much of an impact journaling had for me personally.
Mhm.
Um, so it's awesome to share that with others.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it kinda brings to mind, Brené Brown's work with
Yeah, she's awesome.
vulnerability. She's
Yeah.
amazing, and then also there's a lot of research, as I'm sure you know, on expressive writing and how, just as you
Mhm.
said, like, getting whatever's in our minds out on the page physically through the act of writing can help, kind of transform,
Mhm.
heal,
Yeah.
all of these wonderful things, and I think it's also so important because it's a great antidote to some of the, you know, superficiality that we're
Mhm.
seeing these
Yeah.
days. And, people wanting to go deep
Mhm.
and wanting to explore their inner life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, so I got to preview your Lightwork
Yes.
journal, which will be coming out
Yes.
next year, which is so exciting. We'll definitely talk more about that. But what strikes me about your work also, and I know you're studying Jungian psychology and creativity at Pacifica
Yeah.
right now, so maybe we can talk more about
Mhm.
that. But even before you started that, I think you do a really good job of kind of presenting Jungian ideas, which
Mhm.
can sometimes feel a little thick or
Yeah.
obscure, even if you try to read Jung directly. But, like, of translating that to a wider audience
Mhm.
in a way that is both accessible and actionable.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious, like, kind of what was your own journey with Jungian psychology and kind of learning about these ideas of shadow
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. So backtrack to when I was around 20 years old. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression. And anxiety was something that had bubbled up in my childhood,
Mhm.
especially when it came to, friendships and being in school and trying to fit in and things like that. So that was dormant for a couple years, and then it just sparked up in my adulthood
Mhm.
when I was going into, you know, my early 20s and trying to find my place in the world. And I remember it just getting really bad to the point where I had to take some sort of action. I had to move whatever was, unsettling inside and see what was there. So I tried therapy. It
Mhm.
was a struggle, and there were two main things that were a big challenge for me. One is finding the right
Mhm.
therapist. It's kind of like dating, right?
Yeah.
There has to be some alignment and compatibility, and your personality needs to match to create that comfort. Um, and then the second thing is that when I did start going to sessions, I felt even more drained and confused afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was counterproductive. And, I was just in just a space where it's hard to do anything, right? You wake up and you're like dreading the day. And when you're in that place, everything just moves in slow motion and you need to find things to snap out of it. So I was like, okay, what can I do for myself? Like, I need to be my own cheerleader and supporter here. Like, yes, I have this glum side, but I can also bring in my strength and my inner willpower to do something about this. Um, and I remember being on like Pinterest, just
Mhm.
self-soothing, looking at affirmations and pictures and stuff for inspiration. And I came across a quote by Carl Jung, one of his famous quotes, and it goes like, unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will
Yes.
call it fate. And I'm pretty sure that that's a more boiled down version
Mhm.
of what he has said in the past, but it struck a chord with me and it made me ask myself, what is in my unconscious? What is in that reservoir of unknown that should be known? Like maybe there's a key there for me to unlock, a better version of myself, the version that is going to learn from whatever this phase is in life. And that's when my interest in depth psychology sparked, and I started learning more about Carl Jung and his philosophies and everything around that. And it excited me. I think just the aspect of like doing research in psychology also inspired me, and learning is the best way for me to apply in myself. Um, so yeah, I, started journaling in my diary and unlocking new insights and, creating shadow work prompts for myself to answer. And then when one answer would come about, 3 more questions would come about, and, just following this branch of knowledge within, of insight and wisdom and answers that I needed at the time. So yeah, I remember this season of life lasted maybe like 6 to 9 months. And by the end of it, I could look back and see how much I had grown. And so much that was carrying charge on me was dissolving and holding less of a charge. And that's when like, oh, this had an impact. Like this made a difference.
Yeah.
And it's all self-guided. So it's even more rewarding.
Yeah, amazing. And thank you for sharing that. Because I think you're demonstrating that vulnerability that you talk about. And I think so many people can relate.
Yeah.
I think that's why this work is so resonant. We've all had those times in our lives when we've struggled with anxiety or depression, life circumstances, whatever the cause. And, you and I like to talk a lot about kind of creativity as a tool for psychological growth and development and, kind of inner reflection. But, I'm always curious about people's creative process, especially on this show where we focus so much on creativity. And, there's a lot of people that journal. There's a lot of people that go through difficult life circumstances, but very few people are able to then use that to create something that can be of such benefit to the world, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, in terms of your own creative process, I don't know exactly the question, but like, how did you parlay all that personal work you were doing? Like the idea, maybe I can use this to help other people too.
Yeah. One thing that has been a habit for me over, my whole life is just this idea of collecting thoughts and ideas and things that spark something inside of me. So, for example, with the shadow work journal, once I reached the light at the end of that tunnel, I looked back and I looked at the entire repository of collected notes and quotes and thoughts and poems and if you could picture someone just like sitting on the floor just with a bunch of papers around them and books and stuff, like that's where I was at. And that's like the peak of before a creation happens for me. And I think everyone can find whatever that means for them. But yeah, there is a long period of self-investigation that occurs before the culmination of a creative project. So that's where I found myself with the journal. And I remember I had written my own shadow work prompts because I couldn't find many online.
Yeah.
And I was using blank journals because there wasn't a journal online. So I just had a light bulb moment and thought, there should be some framework for this, something, that you can open and be guided and stuff. Because when it's self-guided, you can easily forget maybe or go on tangents in life and maybe not revisit as much as you could. So yeah, that helped me dream up what the shadow work journal could look like. And a big part of the journal was, like you mentioned, accessibility. not only in terms of it being a journal, but also like the way that exercises were created and things like that. I did it with like a childlike mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So something might ask you to draw out what anger looks like, or maybe it's 4 prompts but in like a box with other boxes in it. So I tried to make it like a children's workbook,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of this work is dealing with your inner child as
Yes.
well. So just having that framework that feels approachable and doable no matter who you are or how old you are, that was another part of the creative process there.
Yeah. So interesting. And then, you have other creative pursuits in
Mm-hmm.
addition to publishing.
Yeah.
You're a musician and you do DJ sets
Mm-hmm.
and all kinds of creative work.
Yeah.
So I'm curious maybe how these kind of Jungian depth psychological processes have inspired your own creativity in various areas.
I mean, it's expanded it so much. When I started getting into DJing, I had gotten a mic and it felt so vulnerable. I think that's another word that applies to if you're a vocalist or you do any kind of musical performances. It's so vulnerable.
It's you.
It's you.
You're putting
it's your
yourself
core.
out there.
Yeah. It's your energy, and you can hear every little grain like of expression. So it definitely opened up this new world of voice and finding my voice. And so where the worlds overlapped was I loved grabbing poetry books, Rumi books, books and depth psychology that I had collected over the years, and opening up to a random page and then finding a couple words or phrases and using them for lyrics, and then overlaying vocals on music that was playing. And yeah, it felt like magic. Like there was something synchronistic there that I could pull from wisdom and meaning and depth and bring it into play and dance and flow state. So yeah, it's been a really exciting journey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we've talked about over time is like, how do you balance running a business and nurturing your creative work at the same time? And how are you? Because I know, you've been able to take this publishing, and you have an app as well, Zenfulnote. You've made a business out of it. And so I know that can be all consuming, right?
Yeah.
And so how are you finding ways to balance your own creativity with running a business?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I was sitting with that question, trying to answer, that's where I found you. And you helped me, find the right pathways and learn how to channel my energy in a way that's going to be productive for my well-being and, for my purpose. So, I mean, just taking a step back, it's really all about how you channel your attention and energy. And sometimes we can be pulled into one area of life and sucked into that vortex. And you're looking out like, I want to also put my hands in these other places. But the deeper you are in one area, the harder it is to come out. So I had to do some reevaluation and understand the different aspects of my life, relationships, family, business, creativity, passion. I put those in the same bucket.
Yeah.
And take all the energy back inwards and then channel it properly. We all have a finite capacity during the day. So yeah, I was able to automate a lot of some of the business stuff and get it to the place where it's sustained and maintained. And if, when I'm working on it, it's something that is going to make an impact, and it's not just like mindless work that feels productive but might not be productive.
Right.
yeah, I created this new room within myself to fill with these creative pursuits and experiments and exploration. So it's been really fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, and I often in coaching or with my students, encourage people to find time every day
Mm-hmm.
to devote to their creativity, whatever people can afford given their busy lives,
Yeah.
but whether it's a half an hour, or even more. So, do you have certain times of day when you focus on your creativity, or certain kind of time
Hmm.
um frames, or how do you
It's been
organize
really
that?
sporadic, but I
Yeah.
do recommend that you incorporate structure, especially in the beginning when you're trying to get some momentum.
Mhm.
I find myself spending more of the evenings on musical
Mhm.
pursuits. There's something about once the sun is setting and it gets dark and moody and you can really tap within.
Mhm.
Um And then for writing, definitely during the daytime. I think I go by the sun,
Yeah.
really, when the sun is shining out and, I want to write, that's more of an outdoor thing for me.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, if I want to do something more laptop heavy and, if it's music, then it'll be at nighttime.
Yeah. That
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, we're, naturally attuned to the cycles of the
Mm-hmm.
day and
Yeah.
nature and all of that, even though it's easy to forget it in our
Yeah.
technological age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
For some people, I think the time setting aside a specific time for creative activities will make a difference. For other people, I think creating the right environments
Yes.
is a different factor. For me, I'm a body person, like
Yeah.
we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Just the somatic, the experience in the body, that's what activates. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's why, and we've talked about this in other episodes of the podcast, just getting into our bodies, whether
Hmm.
it's yoga or exercise or
Yeah.
dance or movement, whatever it can be, but that can be such a great catalyst for
Hmm.
creativity.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I want to make sure we talk about the Lightwork
Yes.
Journal, your new book, which is coming out next year. Yay.
The Lightwork Journal. Little preview.
Awesome. Yes. And so tell us a little bit about how you spent all this time and focus on shadow work,
Mhm.
right? Which is really about kind of going into the depths of the unconscious and trying to bring whatever might be repressed or
Mhm.
suppressed into our conscious awareness. And then at some point, there was a
Mhm.
shift where you realize, oh, we need light work too.
Yeah.
So, how do you define light work, in contrast to shadow work, and kind of what inspired this new book?
Yeah. So light work is the practice of nurturing your inherent strengths, your energy source, and your virtues in life. And, while shadow work allows us to unearth the pains and the repressed aspects of ourselves and our personalities, light work is the aftermath. It's what you do with all that information. It's how you choose to live out the wisdom that you've gained from shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been doing unconscious work for years and years and really getting into it. And at one point I needed something to balance that inner work. Um, and I think this is really important for people to understand how to show up in the world once you've gone so far in the unconscious. It can be just this overwhelming pool of symbols and images and synchronicities and, keys and messages. And there's so much beauty in that. And, having a creative practice allows you to see that and alchemize and process it. but at some point you need to come back up for air.
Yes.
And breathe,
Yeah,
right?
because it can be very intense.
It can be intense.
Yeah.
So I needed something to help me balance when things did get intense or confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what light work slowly became. And I think the beauty of this practice is that I was evolving as I was evolving the concept as well. And it's definitely a reflection of my learnings over the past 2 years. I think it's been almost 2 years developing it. But there is a couple parts in here. There's an initial educational portion where you can read through the different chapters and see an introduction to light work. And I also included a figure of the psyche where you can see the persona, the ego, the self, the shadow. And the self, the whole self, is like the entire sun, right? And it's radiating and it's whole and full. So this will help you understand where the voices in your mind are coming from, whether it's from your persona, your ego, or your shadow, or if it's, a reflection of that whole light self. There's also a map of conscious awareness that I included, and it helps you pinpoint where you are energetically in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually looked at the data from the Zenfulnote app to see what the top emotions people were checking in.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them were in the gray. They were like numb or stagnant. So I found it helpful to put a map of, the top 15 emotions that people were checking in and mapping that from shadow to light.
Yeah.
So that's part of the practice as well. And yeah, there's a bunch of prompts in here. Mad Libs, fill in the blanks,
Yeah.
which people loved from the other journals. And there's also some interactive accompaniments, like this light work motivational track. You can listen to it and read. So there's other dimensions in the book as well. But
yeah, so you do have QR codes throughout the book that link to the app. And we've mentioned the app, but tell us a little more about the app and how it connects to the journal.
Yeah, so the Zenfulnote app is a resource for people if they don't bring their journal around everywhere. It's, shadow work in the back of your pocket. So it's even more accessible since everyone's always has their phones around. But you're able to track your emotions. You can track your triggers. And you can even track glimmers, the small moments of joy and appreciation that you experience in life. There's also shadow work prompts in there. And you can sort through different themes, whether it's romance or dreams or self-discovery. There's a bunch of different themes in there, and whatever you need, I feel like the app has a place or some guidance to explore.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if people are, kind of feeling stuck in their creativity or blocked, which is a common occurrence, what are your recommendations, like certain kinds of prompts or things like that?
Definitely prompts. I'm always a question person.
Yeah.
I think if you put yourself up to the challenge, sometimes it's procrastination is one of the huge creative blocks, and I experience it a lot of the time. So putting yourself in a space where you can take some action and ask yourself, like, if I had 10 minutes of doing something creative, what would I do? And when do I have time today for that? It makes it more accessible, and you create that expectation that it's going to happen that day. But I'd also ask, what's the blockage? Like, what's stopping you? Or what are you trying to protect by holding off?
Yeah.
Is it coming from a certain fear or a feeling of unreadiness? So there could be so many aspects, and those are our shadow characters trying to protect us. So it's important to listen beyond the I don't have time right now, or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know people are also often afraid of delving in
Mm-hmm.
to what's in their mind, not even the unconscious mind,
Yeah.
but even what's happening in their maybe subconscious mind. Or, I think that's why sometimes people fear meditation or internal work like this, because they're afraid of like what's going to come
Yeah.
up potentially. But on the other hand, and I think this speaks to light work, you've touched on this. This is a firm belief of mine as well, that our creativity is connected to our life force energy.
Yes.
And if we suppress it or hold it down or put it off to the side, we're actually repressing our own energy and possibilities.
Yeah.
So, like, would you have any words of encouragement for people who maybe want to express their creativity more, or on some level want to explore the unconscious, but they're a little bit afraid of what might come up?
You have a choice always, and you can't forget that. So when you do start to journal or draw or, follow where your psyche takes you, you should always remember that. You can say, no, thank you. I'm done with this practice now, and I can go outside or, go cook something or do something small. Um, and I mean, just be curious if you do want to stay in that space and sit with whatever emotions arise, and maybe they're sticky. Don't over-identify with what comes up. Just stay with curiosity and let that be the safe zone that you live in internally while interacting and engaging and analyzing those parts.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think despite that fear, there's another quote attributed to Jung: there's no way out but through. And that actually the pathway to greater joy and awakening and just happiness is we have to process through those more difficult things.
Yeah.
But, the good news is there's light on the other side of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I usually like to conclude each episode with what I call a creativity pro tip, something that people can go out and try on their own. Obviously, you've got tons of wonderful resources and prompts that people can tap into. But is there a particular prompt from the Lightwork Journal that you would love to share with people today?
Let's see. Maybe we could do some Lightwork affirmations.
Sure.
Okay. I am strong, capable, and resilient. I rise above challenges with courage and grace. Every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. I trust my ability to overcome difficulties. My inner strength shines as a beam of hope. I draw strength from my past and build my future. I am resilient and emerge stronger with each test.
Beautiful.
And I think the power of spoken word is felt so deeply. So I think affirmations can really activate creativity or strength or anything you're looking for inside of yourself. It's a catalyst.
I absolutely agree. And, some people might consider affirmations to be like kind of woo-woo or whatever, but, psychologically, they are very powerful because, again, wherever we place our mind, that's the direction we're going to go in. And my business partner, Charlotte, who I do the shorter podcast episodes with, she's also a writer, and she has been sharing recently how she just started doing this affirmation because she was feeling a little stuck, like, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact wording, but basically, I am a powerful, successful novelist. She's working on a novel right now. And she said just doing that affirmation every day, she had a goal of writing like 10,000 words, and she's already up to 80,000 words.
Wow.
And she said it supercharged her writing practice.
Wow. That's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
I mean, we're affirming all the time, every day,
Mhm.
with the words that we speak. So why not do what we do already, but with more intention?
Exactly.
Because it really restructures your belief system, and your belief system shows. It shows. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so many of us are already really, really good at the negative self-talk,
Mhm.
but not so good at the positive.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, I think so much of what we're talking about today, it's like the yin and the yang, the
Mhm.
dark and the light, the shadow work and the
Yeah.
light work. It's like we need both. Both are important.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, we tend to dwell in the negative, and it's a
Mhm.
survival mechanism,
Mhm.
right? But we need to bring in more of that positive
Yeah.
self-talk, and affirmations are a great way to do that.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's been such a pleasure.
It has.
Thank you so much. Is there
Thank
anything you
you.
want to add that we haven't touched on yet?
I mean, we could do a whole other
I
episode on other
know.
topics,
Maybe we
but
should. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. To be
If you
continued.
guys liked some of the sneak peeks that I showed today, the Lightwork Journal is out on April 14th next year. So
Perfect.
it's available to pre-order too.
And where can people find it? And where can people find out more about you and all the work that you're doing? What are the best places to connect?
You can find the Lightwork Journal and all my other journals on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, Target, and you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, YouTube at Zenfulnote or Keila Shaheen if you want to look at my personal stuff.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again,
Thank you.
Kayla. It's been so fun.
It has.
And we'll
Thanks
do
for having
another
me.
one.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Okay. Find and connect with us on YouTube and social media under Syncreate. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. We're recording today at Record ATX Studios in Austin, in person with Kayla. The podcast is produced in collaboration with Mike Osborne at 14th Street Studios. Thanks so much for being with us, and see you next time.